It's about the I got to say, it's the stupidest thing in sports.
Whoa, he has trouble with the snap, and the ball is free. It's picked up by Michigan State. Jalen Watts Jackson, and he scores!
Oh, my goodness gracious!
Right side, Cabrera will cut it off. Galarraga covers. He's out. No, he's safe. Phoenix has the foul, and a pinnacle ball throws it down.
DeBrincat gets it back to Goss. He's trying across now. Kane.
Save Raymond. They score! Raymond! 8-5. Johnson to throw, and it's caught by St. Brown for a first down.
This is BS Sports.
And away we go. Welcome one, welcome all. Tuesday evening. You know what I don't like about this time of year? I mean, I like the lights, I even sometimes, and briefly, like seeing the snow, but only when I don't have to leave or do anything. What I don't like is I get out of work at 6. It might as well be, 4 in the morning when I get out of work because it's just dark. I don't see the sun. And then I got to always have my blinds closed during the show. I guess I don't have to have them closed, but there's no light coming in. There's no natural light. Sucks. Why do we live here? Why do we choose to live here? I don't know why I choose to live here, but it is what it is. But we got a great show. Lions clinch the playoffs. I don't think a lot of people have even mentioned the fact that they clinched the playoffs. I guess it's sort of, oh yeah, of course they clinched the playoffs. But it is actually kind of big statistically. But we'll talk about it. We also got some college football to talk about. The college football playoff has been set, and people have opinions. I don't have very big opinions because my school doesn't care about college football. We already established that last week. But I do have opinions still, nevertheless. And I'm wearing the Red Wings hat. And that's for a reason. Because I do have some Red Wings that I got to talk about. Because we got to have a little bit of an intervention. We got to talk again. We did this, I want to say it was November, actually. So I don't know if it was November or if it was late October. I think it was early November we did this, where we talked about the Red Wings, and it was not good. And spoiler alert, it's not going to be good again. So let's just start with the Lions. So there's a lot to break down. I got a few points that I want to get to, and then I'll get you some of the other things that I've heard about throughout the week. First things first. I don't know how this defense keeps doing this. I don't mean to disparage the guys that are out there on the field, but allow me to disparage the guys out there on the field, okay? Do you want me to name some of the characters we have on our team? Because these are not human beings. These are characters, okay? We got one Al-Quandin Muhammad. He's actually one of the better players, too. He got a hit on the quarterback, and he had 4 tackles. So he's pretty good. We got a Miles Adams. No relationship to Devontae, I don't believe. We got Quan Alexander. I don't know if he's related to Tyler Alexander, former Tigers pitcher. I don't know. I'll have to look into that. Ezekiel Turner, the corpse that was, as when he was alive, known as Jamal Adams. Pat O'Connor, David Long Jr., not to be confused with David Long Sr. Everybody remembers him. And, excuse me, and Mitchell Agude. I don't know who any of these people are. Like, all of those people that I just named, excuse me, all those people that I just named could walk into my apartment right now and claim to be Detroit Lions players, and I would not believe them. Like, short of them telling me their names, and even then, I wouldn't know. I'd be like, you're just a large, what are you doing in my apartment? Please get out. I'm uncomfortable. I'm scared. There are 5 strangers in my home. Like, I don't, like, that's what I'm saying. So Lions defense just a cast of players in Major League. Like, we might as well be. We might as well have movie stars on our defense because these guys are practice squad players, and yet they are coming up clutch in big spots. Obviously you drop 30, you give up 31 points. It's usually not ideal, but a couple of those were self-inflicted wounds. You had the interception from Jared Goff in your own territory. You had the turnover on downs in your own territory. That's a 14-point swing. You get rid of that, and what is that? That's 20. No, that's 17 points. That's not bad. And 3 of those came at the very end on that field goal drive that you forced them into, right? So I have to give a complete and I have to, like Aaron Glenn, take a bow. Like he has done an absolutely incredible job. This is one of the best defenses in football, and he's doing it with nobody. Like Aleem McNeil goes down pretty early in that game. All right, Brian Branch goes down late in that game. It's as if they were playing, right? Like Zadarius Smith plugs into this defense. You know, he had his sort of bye week in that first game against Houston. But since he has come in, he has been a force in the pass rush. He is, I want to say he's gotten a sack every game he's played. Hold on, if I can just remember, because I'm not going to pull up every game's box score. But I know he got a sack against Jacksonville. I'm pretty sure he did. I think it was late in that game. I don't think he got one against Indianapolis, but he did get one against the Bears. Everyone knows about that. And he got one against the Packers. So what is that? 3 out of 4 games, Zadarius Smith is getting a sack. If my memory doesn't fail me, that's incredible. Like, especially given his second best, guy on the opposite side is Josh Pascal. And no disrespect to Josh Pascal, he's having a great year. But he's not Aaron Donald. I was gonna say he's not Aaron Glenn. He's definitely not Aaron Glenn. He's not Aaron Donald. Like this defense is coming up clutch in these big spots. Now, on the other side of the football, the offense. Look, I said it going into this game. The offense was due for an elite game. They were due for a high-scoring game, Jared Goff specifically. And I was 100% vindicated. I don't want to hear anybody talking bad about Jared Goff anymore. There's going to be no more Jared Goff slander. I don't want to hear that he can't come up clutch, that he can't give – like, all this guy does whenever it's a game-winning drive, I'm nervous during it, but realistically and statistically speaking, I should be, calm as a cucumber because we just always come up with clutch drives when we need it. Even going back to last year, even going back to the beginning of his time in Detroit, I remember he had he had the game-winning drive against Minnesota 3 years ago. Anyway, Jared Goff, 32 for 41, 283 yards, 3 touchdowns, and I believe 2 of those were on 4th downs, and the 1 interception, which, you can't have it a perfect game, I guess. But when you throw the ball 41 times, it's not that shocking that you end up throwing it to the wrong team. And that's off of the fact that this rushing attack was not having that great of a game. I mean, Montgomery was your leading rusher for 51 yards and 1 touchdown. And that 1 touchdown was useful, but you get what I mean. It was an off day for Gibbs in the rushing game. He did have an impact in the passing game. He had 1 of the touchdowns on that 4th down. And speaking of the 4th downs, I have to talk about this because there is this weird new phenomenon, especially in the national media, and I guess in non-Lions fan circles, to talk about the fact that Dan Campbell goes for it on 4th down a lot. And in particular, it has come off of this game. Now, why is that the case? Well, because the Lions went for it on 5 4th downs, and they were 4 out of the 5. And people say this is ridiculous. This is absurd. You can't win like this. And all I have to say to that is, why not? It's worked 11 games in a row for us. If you don't like it, you can turn the TV off, or you can find a way to stop it. And I think I can name 11 teams off the top of my head that have not found a way to stop it. I guess 10 because we played the Packers twice. Look, the fact is, whether you think this is, Dan Gamble, it really isn't. Like, here's the thing. We're not going for it on 4th and 13 in our own territory. We're not going for it in, 4th and 8 and Jared Goff is off the field or something. We're going for it in particular moments when we know, yes, there's a risk involved, but there's a risk involved in punting the football. You're guaranteeing they're getting the ball. Well, maybe not guaranteeing, but all but guaranteeing they get the ball back and punting the football. It's like there's a risk involved in running a passing play on 3rd down. I mean, the reality is football, strategically speaking, is a game of risk and reward. Like, if the players are buying into it, and all indications seem to be that they are, then this isn't like we're putting them in bad spots. This isn't like we're, just going for it for the sake of going for it. No, there's a strategy. He's building, the play calls are built around the fact that we know we can go for it at any given point. Like we saw it even, I want to say it was this game, like where we had multiple times where it's like, okay, we're doing a short little run and we're just going to have the QB sneak and get that extra yard. And that demoralizes teams. Let me tell you, I don't know what Matt LaFleur did to Dan Campbell in an earlier life or earlier life, in an earlier time. But I like outside of that one Thanksgiving win, Dan Campbell has just knocked the doors off this guy. Like he is in this man's head. I don't like, and I think this is true for a lot of coaches and a lot of teams in this league when they play against the Lions. They are, they lose their mind because they're feeling like, oh my gosh, he's gonna start going for it. What do I do? I don't know. I'm scared. I don't know what to do. Why are they going for it? And then you got Packers fans, crying and moaning about, oh, the Lions, they tackle hard. They're gonna hurt our players, and all. It's just whack. It's all just a bunch of whack. The people complaining about Dan Campbell going for it on fourth down, the people saying the Lions are a quote-unquote dirty team, it's all just whack. It's all just the noise that a baby makes when he or she is hungry. Just whack. It's like, yeah, we're on top of the league right now. I don't know if there's really much of an argument. The best team in the NFL. We've won 11 straight games for the first time in franchise history. We've clinched the playoffs. If you don't like the fact that this is beating your teams and making your coaches look stupid, then I'm sorry, they weren't that smart to begin with. Or your teams weren't as good as you thought. Like, I don't want to be disrespectful to the Packers, but if you have a first half where you score just 7 total points, I don't care how good Jordan Love can be in the second half. You're not winning that football game. Period. End of story. Close the book. Throw it away. You don't have to throw it away, but you can put it on the bookshelf. Like, it's so funny, right? Like, if you are just like a NFL casual fan, right? Jordan Love having a good second half meant more, ostensibly, than Jared Goff playing an entirely complete game and the Lions offensively playing in a complete game. But still, like Jordan Love, you look at his stats overall, and it's like, dog, he's not playing well. And I know a lot of Packers fans don't want to hear this, but you paid this guy based on half a season's worth of success. How's that working out for Jacksonville? How's that working out for how's that working out for New York? All right, for the Giants. I'm not saying that he's as bad as those guys, but don't give me this, oh, he's there, he's the guy. He's really not the problem. If he's not the problem, I don't want to know what the problem is. Like, he is a part of the problem. Yes, yeah, obviously. You can't have a defense that gives up 17 in one half like that, or a defense that can't stop a nosebleed. Like, to me, this is just like other teams will make all the excuses in the world about why the Lions have beaten them. And when the Lions do beat those teams, it's more about, ironically, it's like, oh, well, it's because, I even heard some people were saying it's the refs. It's like, what universe am I living in that we're saying now the Detroit Lions are getting favorable calls by the referees? And I'm just curious, if you want to complain about, oh, look, he's holding, or, oh, look, there was a little bit of contact that should have been pass interference. It's like, that's football, man. Like, like, if you think that every single time that the letter of the law is broken, that it is going to get called, I'm going to drop you off in Oz, and you can go spend some time with Ariana Grande and the black lady from Wicked, whose name escapes me. I don't know. I have no interest in that movie, but I know Ariana Grande is in it. That's the only. There's witches and stuff. I don't know. I'll drop you off there because that like, you're living in a fantasy world. It's not real life to think that, oh, the Lions won the game because the refs didn't call the hold that happens every single play. If you really go through any highlights, go through any full game film, the all 22 view, you will find that there is a hold on every single play. Anyway, that's a discretion, or that's a diversion. Here's what I'll go say to this. What did I just say? I just had a stroke live on stream. Here's what I'm going to say. While that game was tough and while that game was a good win, I think this next week, this against the Bills, is going to be the toughest game of the year. And my question is that a Super Bowl preview? Now, look, the Bills lost this week. We'll talk about it in a little bit later. But the Lions are getting slowly. I mean, Detroit fan pointed out, Lions are getting slowly healthier. Taylor Decker's probably going to be back next week. What's his name? Josh Pascal could be back next week. Aleem McNeil. I don't know if he's serious or Brian Branch. You're going to get those guys back defensively. And we just saw the Bills, while it was a good and a close game, we just saw them lose a game that I think pretty much most of the people watching going into it thought they were going to win pretty easily. I'm not saying that the Lions are going to, knock the doors off them. But if the Lions are able to get wins over division rivals, over playoff teams, like they have the last few weeks, in a way where, they're up pretty much the whole game, and even when they go down, it doesn't matter. They answer back, they step up, they get themselves into a position to win the game. I don't know. Like, Josh Allen does scare me. I think there's no sane human being who watches football who thinks that Josh Allen is not a scary quarterback. At the same time, I got to think, if I'm a Buffalo Bills fan, doesn't Jared Goff kind of scare you? I mean, he's been dicing up defenses all year. Doesn't David Montgomery and Jahmyr Gibbs scare you? Doesn't Brian Branch and Kirby Joseph in that deep secondary scare you when Josh Allen, historically speaking, does have an interception issue, right? I mean, even you go back a couple of years ago, the Lions and the Bills on Thanksgiving was a much closer game than I think they would have liked to believe. This is a much better team than the team 2 years ago. And the Bills are probably about where they were 2 years ago, just because of Josh Allen's presence. Maybe they're better. Josh Allen might be better, but it is what it is. As far as whether or not it is a Super Bowl preview, I think it very well could, just given the state of the AFC. If I had to choose a team that's probably looking like it is running away with the conference the most, outside of, I guess, the Chiefs, it'd probably be the Bills. So, there is a lot to look forward to in that game. And I think the other thing about it, too, look, if the Lions do lose that game, which is entirely in the realm of possibility, I really don't think anybody is going to be, smashing tables and losing their minds about, these are going to be two very good football teams. It could come down to the final possession of the football game. It could come down to which team made one less mistake. And now this Lions team does not make a whole lot of mistakes. And when they do, they overcome those mistakes. But let me just tell you this. I had this team winning more than 13 or more games. I don't think it is hard to win 12 games in a row. You've already won 11. If you win 12 games in a row, we are talking one of the single best winning streaks. Already in franchise history, but in NFL history. We're talking about a string of dominance where including in that is 2 50 bombs and almost 50 bomb on the road. To me, this team is just, it's like a free bingo square. It's like, it doesn't matter who they play. I'll probably take them. I probably would have taken them anyway, but realistically, they're going to be favored in pretty much every game. And I want to say the line right now for Detroit is -2.5 favorites. If their Super Bowl team, the fact that they are favored against another Super Bowl team in the opposite conference, that speaks to the quality of this team. So, look, we'll be live on Sunday. It's going to be a heck of a game, I hope. I really hope that at the very least it's a good game. If the Lions come away with a win, I don't want to hear it from any of the media personalities talk about how Dan Campbell is, quote-unquote, not a good coach and how these fourth down calls are going to come back to bite him. I'm still waiting for that day where they come back to bite him. I really am. Anyway, that's all I got. Let me see. A couple of points here. Having Alex Anzalone return since he could return before the playoffs. Yeah, but I feel like they're not going to bring him back before the playoffs unless there's a 1 seed on the line. That's the only situation I could see. I know we are back to our 3 main CBs and Kirby and Branch never left. I'm looking at the linebackers. Well, Branch did leave this past game, but he's got 10 days rest, and he was on the sideline with his helmet on. I think he was basically just off for the rest of the game because, there's no reason to risk anything major on a regular season game. I forgot. Did they do a 3 safety defense? No, Jamal Adams was basically not in the game. I think I think the only time I saw him was maybe they had him blitzing as a linebacker. Oh yeah, that was another thing. I didn't even mention that. Tim Patrick, not just one. He got 2 touchdowns. Tim Patrick. It's funny, like when you think of the exchange between the Lions and the Broncos get Josh Reynolds, and I will say that I know that Josh Reynolds is a very serious incident about the shooting at the club. I hope that he's okay and all that. As far as the football transaction goes, they lost Tim Patrick and gained Josh Reynolds. We lost Josh Reynolds and gained Tim Patrick. I feel like we kind of won that deal. I'm just saying. I'm not saying. I know it wasn't a trade, and I know a lot of the circumstances around it were not entirely of their own choosing, and/or the guy gets hurt on the field. It's not really anybody's fault. But this is talk about bad luck for Denver, and I hope a team does pick up Josh Reynolds at some point. I still think he's one of the more underrated wide receivers in the league. Solid hands, pretty good route runner. He's not elite really at any one particular thing, but he's a little bit of a jack of all trades. You can use him in a variety of ways. If he's your wide receiver 1, you're probably in trouble, but he's your wide receiver 3 or even 2, you can probably be a decent enough team if you have a good quarterback. It'd be really annoying if the Chiefs picked him up. I'd be like, no. He would immediately be their best wide receiver. So I guess in that sense, maybe it wouldn't be that bad. I'd still be upset. Anyway. I guess we'll talk NFL just because we're on it, and then we'll get to college. So, all right. I started this here. Actually, before I get into this. Patrick has been wide receiver 3 for a while, but he wasn't finding the end zone, especially compared to Khalif Raymond. But now that Patrick has touchdowns, we could see him get a lot more targets. I think the other thing, too, is with that Khalif Raymond injury, he's taking that role, right? I mean, Khalif Raymond it's funny, looking back, it's like Khalif Raymond for a time was playing basically the Jameson Williams role, but obviously nobody notice. I love Khalif Raymond, but no, he's not Jameson Williams, right? He doesn't have that speed. He doesn't have that ability. But then you implant Jameson Williams, and Khalif Raymond can then play a much better role as punt returner, and then even as that wide receiver 3-4 guy. Same sort of applies to Tim Patrick, where now with Khalif down, he can take pretty much the solid wide receiver 3 spot, where he's not really competing with Khalif for routes or for targets or anything like that. Josh Reynolds went to Jacksonville. I know he was in Denver. I don't know if he went to Jacksonville. Maybe he did. I feel sorry for him if he went to Jacksonville. I'm surprised a better team didn't pick him up. Honestly, I know he got, yeah. I guess I can understand why a better team wouldn't pick him up right now. Anyway, so I have to talk about it. I have to, because at this point, it's just becoming a cartoon. Oh my gosh. The image on ESPN is just sad Aaron Rodgers, and that's amazing. The Jets lost another football game. Guys, I don't that is loss number 4 in a row. Their last win was against the Texans. That was, I think it might have been back in November. I actually don't know. When was this game? Does it say? No, that was October. That was Halloween. Wow. That's right. Their last win was Halloween. I will say this. We talked about this last week. We talked about their schedule. The Jaguars is their last really winnable game. One problem. It's on the road. So you're already traveling. Although, I suppose in the wintertime, traveling to Florida does make it a little bit easier. Jacksonville does not have a quarterback. Mac Jones is starting, right? Although, Mac Jones, not first overall pick, former first round quarterback and a solid rookie year. So he's familiar, and he played for the Patriots too. So he's familiar with the Jets, at least a little bit. Let me just, if they lose This is the game you want to keep your eye on that like means absolutely nothing, but Jacksonville, if they beat them, there is no way the Jets win another game. They have the Rams, they have at the Bills, they have the Dolphins at home. Maybe they could string together a win against the Dolphins at home because that'll be in January, cold. Tua and his band of actual Dolphins apparently are going to be too cold and not be able to catch a football or do much of anything offensively. I'm just saying, if they lose to Jacksonville, you heard it here first. They're not going to win another football game, and it's incredible. I love it. I love it so much. Let's see. You're talking about bringing back Josh Reynolds over Allen. I mean, Allen Robinson doesn't do anything. I think he's had like one catch, and that was when we bring in the backups. I just don't know that we really have room for Josh Reynolds. If you had a receiver room of Reynolds, St. Brown, Jamo, Raymond, and Pat, yeah, but that's 5 guys. I mean, unless you're running Hail Mary offense all the time, you're not putting 5 receivers out there at once. Plus, Reynolds' skill set is basically just Tim Patrick's, except he's shorter. And Amon-Ra also has a similar skill set to Josh Reynolds. So, yeah, I just don't think there's really much room for him. As much as I enjoyed his time when he was here, you can't put him everywhere. I guess you can't. There's not enough room. Anyway, yeah, Jets might not win a game. So and it's funny. There are still people who are like, I don't understand why the Jets are losing. Let me explain something to you. Okay. If you watched football in the late 2010s, you were in this. You were hypnotized by the roster the Jets currently have. You see, Devontae Adams and Aaron Rodgers and Alan Lazard and all these guys, and you're tricked. Your little baby, your brain is tricked into believing that this is a good roster. It's not a good roster. It's a roster of aging players who at this point in their career do not care about winning. Clearly. I just, yeah. Anyway. So I also got this. I got to yell a little bit. Not yell, but can somebody please tell the Vikings and the Eagles to just lose like the frauds they are, all right? I'm sick of it, all right? Now, at least the Vikings, they played a really good game against Atlanta. They knocked the doors off them. Sam Darnold played amazing. But Philadelphia, you win a game because Xavier Legette has stone hands and cannot catch a wide open football, which should have been a touchdown. This Eagles team is so phony, so fake, completely bailed out by talent. It is the 2018 Pittsburgh Steelers. It is a team that is full of drama constantly. Their coach is just a cartoon character. Jalen Hurts played, statistically speaking, not a very good game. Just make them stop, all right? Just make them stop. Stop winning football games. All I need is the Eagles. Let's see. Who do they got? They got the Steelers, this Sunday on Fox. I think that's their game of the week. It's not going to be America's game of the week because that's Bills, Lions. But that might be, if you're in Pittsburgh, that's the game you're probably going to get. I want no more of these Eagles. I need the Steelers to go in and knock the doors off. I need the Commanders. They're going to have to face them on the road. I need Jaden Daniels to go back to being early season Jaden Daniels. And then the Cowboys and the Giants, I got nothing. I mean, those guys are not going to do much of anything for me. Maybe the Giants. Maybe the Giants in their final game of the year, they'll ruin their tank so that the Lions can prosper. That would be nice. Now, on the Viking side of things, I can at least, say, okay, at least with the Vikings, they're playing well. They're not doing what the Eagles are doing, which is just beating up on bad competition. Now, they are doing that a little bit, but they're beating the bad competition usually pretty soundly. The Bears, Cardinals, and Titans game notwithstanding. And And also, I guess, the Jaguars game. And also, I guess, the Colts game. Yeah, actually, they really haven't had this last game against the Falcons, that was probably the biggest win they've had. They're going to have the Monday night game against the Bears, which you might as well just write that one in. And the other thing, too, is that I know that the Lions are going to play them again this year. So, in as much as, the Lions have to worry about teams, they don't have really any control of what Philadelphia is going to do. They do, however, have control over Minnesota, and they have the tiebreaker anyway. I think they have the tiebreaker with Philly, just based on, I don't know, I think maybe point differential. I don't know how this tiebreaker stuff works. All I want to be able to say before Christmas, preferably before Christmas, that the Lions have clinched the number 1 overall seed. That's what I would like. I don't even know if that's statistically possible. I'm sure it is. I think you'd need both the Vikings and the Bears, Vikings and the Eagles to lose the next couple of weeks, and then we would. I don't know if that's technically true. Somebody can correct my math on that. I know if the Lions win 3 out of the next 4, they are guaranteed it. And then there's a few other scenarios where they only have to win 2, and then the other teams can lose some. All that is to say, though, if on the fraud-o-meter, which of course is a real thing, on the fraud-o-meter, when I do a reading of the Eagles, it is red hot. It is so obvious to me that this team is really not all that different from last year's team, albeit they are, by the score, seeming to win games in better ways, but they're just not playing good football. Like in the second half of this game against the Carolina Panthers, who are terrible, all right? Bryce Young's been playing okay recently, but the Panthers are awful, okay? They score 8 points in the second half. They go 2 quarters without scoring any points. First and third quarter, they don't score at all. Like, I don't, like, get this team out of here, all right? Just send them away. I'm done with them. Done with them. I mean, KC is also kind of a fraudulent team, but they're kind of funny. They're like funny fraud. Like I'm not mad at them. I'm more just like, how are you doing this? Like, just stop. It's not funny. I mean, it's kind of funny. We'll talk about them later because I got to talk about Seth's Chargers. Speaking of his Chargers, he has not given me his picks yet. I just remembered. I don't think. Hold on. I gotta look this up. Yeah, no, he is not. Whatever. Well, if he doesn't give them to me by the time we do the picks, we'll just run down my picks and then I'll fill them in with his. Anyway. What's the next thing I want to talk about? Oh, yes, of course. Talk about the Bills and the Rams. So this game, like, the whole time I'm watching it, I'm like, oh, okay. So, I mean, there's a pathway for the Bills to win. And then it's like, oh, they scored. All right. This is getting interesting. Like, the whole time. First of all. All right. If you had Josh Allen in fantasy football, just tell me what that was like emotionally and spiritually. Was it like, the first time you like fell in love? Was it like, let's see, was it like the first time you, like, I don't know, like when you're a little kid and you finally beat your older brother in like some sort of game or activity or whatever it is? What was it like? Because he had not 1, not 2, not 3, not 4, not 5, 6 touchdowns. 6 touchdowns. I didn't know that was possible. For one human being to have 6 touchdowns. That is absolutely absurd. Okay? He accounted for every single touchdown they scored this entire game. Like, all 42 points in the game, thank Josh Allen for them. Like, that is insanity. It's insanity. Like, and yet, he loses the game. Like, this is like, oh my gosh, what's the name of this is like Mike Trout in baseball, where he will just it was like the meme a couple of years ago when Shohei was on the Angels, and it was like, Shohei breaks all-time record going, 2 for 3 with a double and a triple and a 6-pitch shutout, and Mike Trout hits 3 home runs, and the Angels lose 6-3 or something. Like, it's like, oh, okay. Like that's what this was in football, basically, is amazing statistical game from one of the best in the league, and you lose the game. And that, like, you want to talk about a game being out of the control of the quarterback? That is the definition of the game being out of control. Like, Josh Allen could not have played a better game. Like, I mean, I guess maybe technically, like, he could have not thrown 15 incompletions. I guess he was 22 for 37, but that's the only flaw. Like, literally, he didn't get sacked. He didn't have an interception. I don't think he might have taken a play for a loss at some point, but I don't know. I don't think so, because he never got sacked. So, like, when you have, like, let me put it this way. When you have more than 4 times as many rushing yards as your running back won, that's indicative of you just basically putting the team on your back. Like, you averaged 8 yards every time you ran the football, and you're the quarterback. I can't get over it. Now, on the other side of it, look, the Rams are a good team. And I think people are shocked by this, because this is what the Rams have done the last couple of years, where they have started pretty mediocre to bad. And then later in the year, guys get healthy, offense starts to click. Like the Kyren Williams, Puka Nacua, Cooper Kupp trio on offense. And then obviously Matthew Stafford actually dialing up those guys. I guess he's throwing to Nacua and Kupp. He's not throwing to Williams. That's a deadly offense. That's a very difficult offense to stop for any defense. Like the Lions had to deal with it for a little bit in that first game of the year, but Puka Nacua went down in that game. You know, a very good shot that if Puka Nacua doesn't go down, the Lions could have lost that game. Very good shot. No doubt about it. And Puka Nacua, I give him credit. I don't know how this guy went so deep. Like, the Rams just do this, right? Like, they did it with Cooper Kupp, and now they did it again with Puka Nacua. How did this guy get taken, like, in the 4th round or whatever he was taken? Like, he is far and away one of the best wide receivers in the league. He's better than any wide receiver on Baltimore. Like, I don't know why I had to throw a stray at Baltimore for a second there, but he is. Like, he's just clearly better. Now, as far as defense goes, now that is where basically the Rams are a little suspect. A little suspect. Usually when you give up 6 touchdowns on defense to one guy, you know, usually that's not good. It's not good. You don't want to do that. So do I think they're, like, you know, going to go on a run here? No, I don't. Their defense is just not good enough. But Sean McVay knows how to coach an offense. And this offense is not going to go down easy, right? Like, if you're playing this team in the playoffs or wherever, it's not going to be an easy win. I've experienced it the last 2 years, just how difficult it is to beat this Rams team. If you can somehow manage to stifle their offense, then you got a shot. But if you can't, then you better hope you get the ball last. Because in this case, unfortunately for Buffalo, they did not. They paid the price. So, moving along though I guess I will talk about the Cowboys Bengals games later, but I gotta talk about this game. All right. You know, I have a personal stake in this. For actually a multitude of reasons. Okay. Number one, for those of you who don't know, this show is typically actually, or at least maybe not typically, that may not be the right word, is supposed to be a 2-man show. Our friend Seth, who represents the Chargers side of the screen here, he is a fan of one Los Angeles Chargers of San Diego, being that he is from the city of San Diego or the greater San Diego area. And I decided to say out loud that this was going to be a great game last week in the predictions. You can go back and watch the clip. I said this is going to be a good game. Fun division game. Maybe the Chargers get it done. I didn't pick them, but maybe they could surprise me. I proceeded to watch one of the most rotting football games I've ever seen in my entire life. This was far and away my most upset that I stayed up to watch this. Like, usually if I stay up to watch a game and it's a good game, I'm like, okay, I'm going to be tired the next day. I'm gonna be, a little groggy, not feel great, but I'll be like, okay, well, it's a good game at least. I could at least say that. This was not a good game. This was like watching paint dry, but instead of like a cool color paint, it was like when they reapply white paint to a wall. It wasn't even like they're changing. Like you don't even get like, oh, okay, like see how the room, it's how it looks different now. I don't even get that. I just get like white white walls and fluorescent lights. It's terrible. It's terrible. Now, the Chargers did the chargering thing. This was one of the most chargering moments in recent history. Like I just knew. I knew it, but I didn't want to say it. That the moment that the Chargers had to settle for the field goal, they couldn't score a touchdown on that final drive, and Patrick Mahomes got the football back. They were up just one. The Chargers were. The Chiefs were down just one. All they needed, get themselves into field goal range, ice that clock, and hope that Harrison Butker's backup could get the kick. And for a moment, I thought maybe God had smiled upon the city of Los Angeles of San Diego for his Chargers, because I saw the ball doink off the uprights. But it wasn't God smiling upon them because he was happy for them. God was smiling because he was laughing. He was laughing like Mozart laughed at Salieri and Amadeus. He was laughing at the poor Chargers. It doinks and then goes in. Never seen anything like it. Actually, I have seen a few plays like that where it doinks and then goes in. But it couldn't have happened any other way, it seemed. Like, if it was going to happen to the Chargers, it was, for one, going to be a game-winning field goal. It was, two, going to be after you had the football and had a chance to ice the game with a touchdown. And now you add the doink into it all, and it's like a travesty of one's own making. The Chargers deserve their peril. Now, here's what I'll say about this, Bacon Bombs. I don't agree, all right? What have the Chargers done to deserve their peril? I mean, look, we're going to leave any commentary about the city of Los Angeles and the fact that they ran away from San Diego like a bunch of scumbags. But outside of that, they're like the punching bag of they just suck. Or rather, they will be good, but only in like a casual sense. Like, they're like fantasy football good. It's like if you look at their roster, even you're like, okay. I mean, maybe their wide receiver room's a little sussy, but I can't believe I just said sussy live and so casually. But Justin Herbert's a solid quarterback. Gus Edwards he's not an amazing running back, but he can get the job done. Quentin Johnston has really started to come to his own. 5 catches for 48 yards, pretty good. They even have former Lion DJ Chark. I did not know that. I actually did not know that DJ Chark was in the league or that he was playing for the Chargers. But they have him. He had 1 catch for 9 yards. You'd think they didn't have him. Some of these guys' names, I don't even. Who is Kamani Vidal? Does anyone know who that is? That sounds like a Star Wars character. Kimani Vidal, the Sith of the planet Ziegler. Anyway. Yeah, so the Chiefs clinched the division. That was what. It's funny. Like, I don't. Similar to the Lions clinching the playoffs. I don't think anybody was like, "Oh my gosh, I can't believe it! The Chiefs clinched the division." It's like, "Oh yeah, they clinched the division. Oh, cool." They've lost 1 game all year. They're 12-1, undefeated at home. Oh, hey, Harbaugh, till you die. Fair enough. Fair enough. Now, here's what I will say. Like, Harbaugh, for me, I mean, I certainly don't like what he did at the end of his Michigan tenure with all the cheating and all that nonsense. However, Harbaugh, the football guy, I don't know if he's playing a character or if he's aware of how funny he is, but he is really funny to me. Like, he'll just say things. And it's like, why are you, you're such a weirdo. Like, but I don't want you to stop. Like, continue being a weirdo. But anyway, we will move along here to Monday Night Football. I will briefly talk about this game because I did not watch a second of this game. I'll just have you know this right now. I think I maybe watched like 30 seconds of this game. I don't even think I did that. All right. I'm not even going to talk about Mike McCarthy anymore because at this point it's clear that he does not. He's not see any. They're just not going to fire him. Jerry Jones is not going to fire Mike McCarthy. It doesn't matter how many games he loses. Doesn't matter the fact that they're 1-6 at home. Doesn't matter the fact that their one win at home was Thanksgiving with Cooper Rush. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. We put the Cowboys on national TV because I don't know. America has forgotten God. That's pretty much that's the only thing I can think of. That's the only if we repented from our sins, maybe the Cowboys would stop being on national TV. I wonder if I could make a graph of terrible. What if I could make a graph of religious belief and number of Cowboys national TV games? I'm just saying. I'm making a point. Anyway, I have no real commentary on any of these teams because the Bengals are so disappointing. And wow, you beat the terrible Cowboys with Cooper Rush and Amani Oruwariye bobbling a block punt because he just can't get out of his own way. Former Lion legend Amani Oruwariye, who had one good play in his life, which was that pick 6 against the Cardinals. I just with the Cowboys, I have no desire to talk about them any further. With the Bengals, Jamar Chase is really good. Joe Burrow is really good. Your defense sucks. Your coach sucks. Your roster as a whole kind of sucks. I mean, your second leading receiver is Chase Brown, who is a running back. And your third leading receiver is Andre Iosivas. I don't even know who that is. I don't know what race that man is. Is he black? Is he white? I don't know. Maybe he's not. Maybe he's Middle Eastern. All right, we're gonna take a poll. Black or white? I'm gonna go with black. I'm gonna say black. He's white. Damn it! That was, that's a toss up. Andre, I guess he spells it with an I at the end. Iosivas, was that Greek? Who is this guy? He went to Princeton. I'm not going to make any more jokes about that. Donald, what do you have to say?
I have a great relationship with the blacks. I've always had a great relationship with the blacks.
Me too, Don. Back, please. Thank you. Nope. There we go. I forgot about the whole Jim Schwartz slap. That was so long ago, and it's funny looking back at that because I could imagine me now if that happened, I would be really upset about it. It's not all Trump. That's the only Trump one. I think it's the only Trump one I have. I think I have a Biden in here. Yeah.
Why?
He's asking a simple question.
Why?
I got a few good ones. Let's see. I got a Kamala.
Yeah, girl, I'm out here in these streets.
There we go. Lions versus Eagles. Who's better? Lions. We already talked about the Eagles earlier, Zingdad. They should have lost that game to Carolina. I know it should have, would have, could have, but that Xavier Legette, get out of my house with your stone hands. You had a game-winning touchdown. I mean, maybe he wouldn't have scored a touchdown, but I just 5-0 with a healthy job at best in the season. Yeah. Was that the 5-12 year? Did we lose 12 straight? Or 5-11, I guess, at that point? That was, yeah. Man, those Jim Schwartz years. Hold on. Let me look up Jim. Or, let me just look up Lions franchise record. I can remember. I just want to see what that record was that year with Jim Schwartz. Okay, was that that must have been the 6-10 year. Yeah. I mean, we were on the upswing. We were things are going pretty well for us. A little bit. Wait, we went to the playoffs that year? Oh, was that the 10-6 year? Was that 2011? I thought that was the 6-10 year. Yeah, we did. That was a crazy year. I was 12. I remember that game being on and then immediately being like, oh, yeah. Okay. Here's the thing about that, Zing Dad. For one, I think so. I think we can do it. However, I don't want to have to test fate like that. All right? Like, I don't want to have to deal with, you know, being the Utah Jazz to the Chicago Bulls. I don't want to deal with that. Or the Phoenix Suns. I don't want to deal with, being a top regular season team, one of the best teams in your conference, but yet, the guy who just always seems to find a way to win does it. But yes, of course we could beat anybody in the league. That goes without saying. But of course, you're going up against Michael Jordan. Like that's the thing. And Michael Jordan was undefeated in the finals, but he did lose sometimes. Not in the finals, but sometimes. So I don't know if it's going to even get to that. I just don't think the Chiefs are that good. But they do have a way of turning it on in the playoffs, man. They really do. But we'll see. We have a way of turning it on the entire season. So there's that. More worried about Josh and Lamar. Yeah, I don't know. It's like in the playoffs, though, it does change the calculation, right? It has to. I think it has to. Anyway, that's all I got for the NFL. Now, I want to talk a little bit about some college football, just briefly. I'm not really going to spend too much time on this because, as I alluded to at the beginning of the show, my school does not care about college football, so we're not going to talk too deeply about it. But I will talk about this. Georgia winning the SEC. Texas, apparently, incapable of being back. Apparently. You hate to see it for Texas, I guess. I was rooting for them a little bit because Georgia has not been consistent for much of the year, at least in terms of their performances, but they got the job done. And they win the SEC. They get the bye week in the playoff. It's deserved. And now they are one of the scarier teams in this playoff, as well as the other team that I want to talk about, which is Oregon, who wins the Big Ten in their first year in the conference, which is not a roaring endorsement of this Big Ten conference, that another team with no history here, no, prior experience really of consistently playing in the Midwest, and they just win. And not only do they win, they go undefeated. And let me just say this. James Franklin, I was not rooting for him because I wanted to see him lose, but like, what does this guy do? Like, what my thought is, and my theory about this is, James Franklin must be some sort of evil mastermind, or maybe he knows hypnosis. We haven't considered the possibility of hypnosis. That he has tricked Penn State into believing that he is one of the top teams in the Big Ten. He has coached one of the top teams in the Big Ten. Like, think about this, all right? If I were to just go through Penn State's records since he's been there, largely, you'd say, oh, this guy's got to be pretty good. But he's not been pretty good. He's lost every big game. He's like Ryan Day on steroids. Like, we'll talk about it because we're going to just go through each of the matchups here in this first week of the college football playoff. But, man, I can't with them. It's just, Penn State is playing down to competition like they have never done before. And in this case, they're not good. James Franklin is not good. Drew Aller is not good. I just want them to go away. All right? This is why the whole college football playoff is stupid to me. Because the fact that Penn State is in the running for the national championship is absurd. All right? You know what we should be doing? Oregon, Georgia, national championship. Everybody else go play another bowl game. That's what back in the good old days when the committee could just make a decision and we had to deal with it. We didn't have to worry about the stupidness of, playoff luck or somebody getting hurt or nonsense. We just had the two best teams. They were usually undefeated and they just beat the heck out of each other. And you got a great game most of the time. Or one team blows out the other. Who cares? It's college football. That's just what it is. If you don't like it, then don't watch it. Now we get kind of the NFL. Kind of. Now, that's all my playoff complaints aside. Now let's talk about the actual game. So, and also, before we talk about the actual games, Alabama did not make it. You just hate to see it. Anyway, moving along. Clemson is going to Texas. Texas, I believe. Yeah, it's going to be in Texas, right? Isn't it? Yeah. Right? Yeah, it's in Texas. Okay, for some reason I was confusing myself. All right. Texas hosting Clemson. This to me is a little bit of a lopsided matchup. I don't think that Clemson is going to fare very well against a Texas team who has a very good defense. And their offense can score points sometimes. Not all the time, but some of the time. You know what's weird, though, about this game? It's on TNT. Who the heck watches football games on TNT? I've never, that's going to be weird, right? You can also watch it on Max, formerly known as HBO Max, formerly known as Home Box Office, formerly known as the station with Game of Thrones on it and nothing else. Well, Curb Your Enthusiasm. Anyway, Clemson, Texas. I don't have too much to say. It's really, it doesn't seem like it's going to be that good of a game to me. But knowing me and knowing my lack of real knowledge of college football, this very well could turn out to be a really good classic game. All these games, by the way, except for the Indiana Notre Dame game, which we'll talk about later, are on the 21st, which is a week from this Saturday. Anyway, Arizona State is going to be on the bye. They will play the winner of the Texas Clemson game, having won their conference. Good for Arizona State, by the way. Former Spartan Sam Leavitt quarterbacking there for Arizona State. I'm not upset at all. I'm not jealous at all. Then you have Tennessee, Ohio State, the 9 versus the 8 seed. It's in Ohio. Yeah, it's in Columbus. Ohio State's minus 7.5 point favorites. I actually do think this could be a pretty good game. In as much as Ryan Day doesn't get in his own way. Ohio State, I think, is the better team than Tennessee, but Tennessee's scrappy. I mean, Nico Uliabalubadabadu, when he is on his game, he can be a threat. But I do think Ohio State just has too many wide receivers. Now, just please, Ryan Day, buddy, all right? Don't run the football all the time like an idiot. Just throw the ball to Jeremiah Smith, and things will go well. That's what I have to say about that. That will go to the Oregon. They'll play the winner of that game. So basically, you're playing for the right to probably lose to Oregon, which is fun. Now we have to talk about this game. I literally have 0 comments that are positive about this game. SMU, ACC SMU, by the way, Southern Methodist, which is a school in Texas in the ACC. They are taking on Penn State. Penn State's minus 9 point favorites. If you watch this football game, you're going to be upset. You're going to be very upset. Not at anyone in particular. You're just going to be upset. It's going to put you in you're going to be like Jack Nicholson in The Shining, just staring out the window and thinking about the ways in which you're going to murder your family. Except don't actually think about murdering your family. That's not, don't think about that, guys. That's not good. Don't do that. But the winner will play Boise State. That's kind of fun. You know what, though? I'm very upset about this, in a sense. So I'm happy for Boise State because they won their conference. All right? But what I'm not happy about is we were robbed of a blue field playoff game because we got to go play in the Verbo Fiesta Bowl. First of all, the fact that Verbo is sponsoring the Fiesta Bowl and not, I don't know, Tostitos is ridiculous. Already a sham. Completely awful. Need to throw it out. Get rid of that. That's nonsense. Second of all, Penn State, for all of my hatred, they are probably going to win this game. And then they're going to get to go play Boise State. And you know what? They very well could win that game. And then they're going to be in the Final Four. This is absolutely absurd. There is no way that Penn State deserves this. This is why this whole playoff thing is ridiculous, all right? The fact that Penn State has I don't know, easy is the right word, but a clear path to be able to put themselves one win away from a national championship berth is absurd. They should be playing SMU in the Capital One Bowl. Maybe not the Capital One Bowl. Maybe what's slightly below a New Year's Six. I guess Capital One Bowl. I guess maybe they should be playing the Capital One. I don't know. This is ridiculous. This is Go back to BCS. Like, go back to bowls. I'm done with it. I'm tired of it. Oh my gosh. Then, this game actually could be kind of fun. Yeah, Indiana at Notre Dame. It's sort of a road game, but sort of not a road game for Indiana because they're both Notre Dame's in Indiana. So this one could be kind of fun. It's a Friday night game. Not sure how I feel about that. But, you know, Kurt Signetti up against, what's his name? Freeman? Marcus Freeman. Very good coach out in Notre Dame. I'll be rooting for Notre Dame because, you know, I'm that guy. I actually do like Notre Dame, all right? I know a lot of people like to make fun of Notre Dame. I like Notre Dame, all right? Let me like Notre Dame, at least a little bit. I guess I'm not like I'm like if they lose, I'm okay. But, like, I don't know. It's like I like the uniforms. I like the little Irish guy. It's fun. Little leprechaun. And they got the real life leprechaun. That's kind of fun. Yeah, that game's on Friday night. Not this Friday. Next Friday. I don't really have many questions about who's going to win that game. Like that could be the closest game. It's Notre Dame -7.5. I think Indiana could play it close. They played games like this close. I mean, they played Ohio State close for a little bit until they didn't. So maybe they'll make Indiana, or maybe they'll make Notre Dame sweat a little bit. That team, or whoever wins that game, will have the right to go out to play Georgia in the Sugar Bowl. So I didn't even mention it. You got the Peach Bowl for Arizona State, Rose Bowl for Oregon, makes sense. Fiesta Bowl for Boise State, and the Sugar Bowl for Georgia. And then the final 4 games are the Cotton Bowl, and the Orange Bowl. And then your national championship, which is on, by the way, January 20th, which, if you don't have your calendar on standby, is a Monday. Why do we do this? Why do we do this to ourselves? Why? Just put it on Saturday, you cowards. Like, but they'll say is, oh no, we want to give them a bye week. Okay, fine, put it on the 25th. Do that. That's what you want to do. Like, but they don't want to do that. You know why they don't want to do that? You know why? Because they know that the NFL would murder them in the play, or in the ratings. And yes, this is a good point, Gerald. Carson Beck, not sure what his status is going to be, which is, you know, hey, maybe if Signetti. Now, if Signetti gets to the Final Four, now that I can live with. That would be the only positive of this playoff, all right, is if my boy Kurt Signetti, if he can take it to the Final Four. Now that would be worth. And if he gets to play Penn State and he beats Penn State, maybe this whole thing is going to redeem itself. Oh, guys, maybe this whole thing is going to redeem itself. We can get James Franklin losing to Kurt Signetti in the Final Four. This thing is going to work out in the end, guys. I mean, they're basically all seemingly playing for the right to lose to Oregon, but I don't know. We'll see. But yeah, that's pretty much my college football playoff. We'll talk about it as it starts to happen. We don't have any college football really next week, unless you count Army Navy, and that is a game that I'll probably watch in shame and misery. What time is that game? I actually might not watch that game because I'm gonna be out of town. I don't know. I might not be able to watch that game. It'll be for the best, but there's still a dirty part of me that's like, no, you want to watch that game. It's like, no, I don't. I don't want to watch Army Navy. No, I don't want to watch Army Navy, and you can't make me. I am not going to Rainbow Land, and you can't make me. Name that movie. All right. I'm on that. All right. All right. I've said all right how many times? 6 times around that time? It's now time to talk some serious stuff, guys. Some very serious stuff. Your Detroit Red Wings, helmed by the great, all-time great coach of Derek Lalonde. I have to congratulate them. Last night, they did something that I don't think anybody expected them to do. They won a hockey game. They did it. We did it, guys. We won a hockey game in the month of December. We did it. Didn't win for, the first week, but we did it now. Better late than never. Maybe. Hopefully. So, what you might think is I might be saying, okay, this is where we're going to turn it on. We Sebastian Kosa plays a pretty good game overall. Obviously, he comes in and the game was 3-2. So he only gave up the 2 goals throughout the rest of the game, and he won a shootout. He didn't win. He could have, if he got one more stop, he would have won the shootout entirely, but Dylan Larkin had to bail him out there a little bit. But here's what I'll say about this. This team, if I just go on the defensive side and on the forward side, I got to tell you something. The forwards, offensively, you have Lucas Raymond, Dylan Larkin, Alex DeBrincat. That is it. That is it. Do you want to know who the next forward with points or with the most points on the team is? If you guess Patrick Kane, you would be wrong. It's one Vladimir Tarasenko, who has just a lights out total of 4 goals on the year and 12 total points. Your forward room is 3 guys, and I'm pretty sure all of them play on the top line. Like, I don't actually know that for sure, but I'm pretty sure they do. That's not good. It's certainly not good enough 5 years into a rebuild, Steve Yzerman. Now, maybe you're thinking, well, maybe it's the defense. All right, maybe we got some defenders that are both point getters and positive players on the ice. All right, you got Mo Seider, very good defenseman, hard hitter, tough, can score when if possible. He's usually there on assists. Right, pretty good passer. +4 player on the ice. If you take plus minus to mean much of anything. Simon Edvinsson, also good player. Another similar to Seider in that he's kind of slowly developing. He's a little bit, he's a little behind Seider, which makes sense. Just only a couple of years here. First full year in the NHL. +7 player though on the ice. Again, if you take that to mean anything. Do you want to know who their next best defenseman is? In terms of points, at least. Oh, you're not gonna like the answer. Let me tell you, you're not gonna like the answer. If you guessed Eric Gustafsson, you would be correct. There's only one little baby teeny weeny problem. Eric Gustafsson has played just 20 games. Now, I'm not a mathematician, but if the Red Wings record, for example, if the Red Wings record were, let's just say, I don't know, 11, 13, and 4. Now, if you were to add those numbers together, would you get a number that is greater than or less than? Or greater than or equal to 20. I'll do the math for you. You would get a total of 28, which is greater than 20. So basically, in terms of points, your third best defenseman has played 8 less games than you've played total. Now, I understand that your D-men, your defensemen, are not primarily getting you a lot of points. But the fact that the next best guy in points for your defenseman is a dead body defenseman that everybody universally pans as one of the, worst offseason additions for Steve Yzerman this offseason. It's not good, all right? It's really not good. It also doesn't help that he's a -6 player on the ice. So even when he's not scoring, he's usually giving up scoring opportunities in some way, shape, or form. All of this is to say, you have a team of basically 5 total guys. So roughly speaking, 1 good line. And we are how many years into Steve Yzerman's rebuild? Not 1, not 2, not 3, not 4, actually, yes. 5. 5 years. This is year number 5. We are going to be, assuming he is still here, he will have his 6th draft come April. Or not come April. Come June, whenever the NHL draft is. Maybe July. I don't remember exactly when it is. Come the end of the season, he'll get his 6th draft. His 6th draft class. And if I just go up and down the roster, you would think it would be filled to the brim with his draft picks. Let's count them down. All right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 guys. So basically, 1 a year. 5 years of drafting. 5 guys on your team. I guess technically 6 if you want to count Sebastian Costa. And I think you should because he was drafted by Steve Eisman. You have 6 guys, one of them being a goalie, so obviously not playing every day. And even Albert Johansson, by the way, he's played just 14 games. And he's got 1 assist. So clearly not doing a whole lot for you. And then on the other end, Marco Casper, who I do like and who could develop, he still got some time. He's only played 24 games as well. So of the contributors, Edvinson, Sider, Raymond, that's pretty much all you got. To me, and all those guys also, by the way, was his first pick of their respective drafts. It wasn't like he had one draft class where all of these guys are coming together. You're getting, the guys that, of course, are going to be up. And look, I wouldn't be surprised if maybe not even at the end of this year or maybe the start of next year, Nate Danielson is not on the team, right? Or, Amadeus Lombardi or even Axel Sandin Pellica in the next couple of years. My point is, all right, this rebuild started in 2019. We are going to be, if we're talking about bringing Axel Sandin Pellica being the savior 2 years from now, we're talking about a rebuild that will have gone on for 7 years and maybe we'll be in the playoffs. It's funny when you look at the standings overall, in the, not just in the conference, I guess, in the wild card. 3 teams that have been sort of intertwined in their rebuilds. Ottawa Senators, the Detroit Red Wings, and the Buffalo Sabres. Do you want to know how many points all 3 of these teams have? 26. All of them. 26 total points. Now, granted, Ottawa's played 1 less game than Buffalo and Detroit. And obviously these teams play each other. But the fact that all 3 of these rebuilding teams are below Columbus, below Philadelphia, below Pittsburgh, below the Islanders. What are we doing in the NHL where basically teams are just allowed to rebuild forever? What if I am a Red Wings fan, but if I'm a Buffalo Sabres fan or if I'm a Senators fan, I don't know what their particular circumstances are. I don't know what their GM situation is. I don't even know what their roster situation is. I don't know anything about them. But I would be pissed. I'd be like, okay, who is the GM and why is he still here? He's done nothing for us. The team has not gotten better. His draft picks have, not arrived. The development is slow. It's just not working out, right? You're 1 point ahead of the Montreal Canadiens. That's usually not good when you're 1 point away from the worst team in the East. But it's all the more worse when it's Steve Yzerman at the helm, when it's allegedly one of the best general managers in the league. Allegedly. I say this all allegedly because I'm sorry, I have no evidence to believe that he can successfully build a team from the bottom up. He had some talent to work with in Tampa Bay when he took that team over. Not that he didn't make any good moves. He made an amazing team. He made a lot of incredible moves. But if I'm simply looking at what he's done in Detroit, what move, what singular thing that he did was so knock the ball out of the park? Maybe drafting Mo Seider? Maybe trading for Alex DeBrincat? I can't think of, outside of Alex DeBrincat, I can't think of any signing or trade of a right now player that people immediately and fully are like, yes, this was a good move or a great move by Steve Yzerman. Because is there anybody praising the JT Compher signing? Nope. Is there anybody praising the Andrew Kopp signing? Nope. What about Ben Sherratt? Nope. What about Justin Hall? What about Jeff Petrie or even Michael Rasmussen in his 8 points in 24 or 27 games? Yeah, who or Austin Watson? This was we need an enforcer, and he's played 2 games and he's gone. Yeah, so glad we brought him in. So glad he was brought into the mix. Like there really isn't any move that I can think of outside of trading for Alex DeBrincat, which was a good move, but not this like game-breaking move where Alex DeBrincat is suddenly, I was gonna say he's suddenly Steve Yzerman, but you know what I mean. He's suddenly the player Steve Yzerman. DeBrincat's a really fine player, but he's not top of the league. And if he's your best team, or if he's your best player on your team, you're probably not all that good. And like this is pretty much evident. He's your third best player in terms of points, or I guess tied with Larkin in goals and assists, and the team is spiraling out of control. Like we're a minus 15 goal differential team. That is tied for second or third worst in the Eastern Conference. It's also one of the worst in the league. And maybe not. It's not. I think it might be bottom 5. I'd have to really take a crunch of the numbers because meanwhile, Nashville is not good. That's not good at all. But the other thing about this team is, of course, the coach. And look, I said this at the end of last year. Derek Lalonde does nothing for me. All right. I don't care that, it was early at that point. He needed to go. That collapse was of astronomical proportion. And some of the things that he was saying about, oh, well, we're just happy to be here. And, nobody thought we were going to be. It's like, dude, do you know how to motivate a team, or do you know how to get as little out of them as possible? Apparently he knows the latter and not the former. And so, yeah, look, fire him. That's fine with me. You're really only delaying the inevitable. And especially for those of you who want this to work with Steve Yzerman, if you fire Derek Lalonde, well, Steve Yzerman doesn't get to hire a third coach. Or I guess technically a second. Or yeah, I guess it would be a third coach. So he needs to get it right. Or rather, Lalonde needs to figure out what it is that he was even brought here to do. And if he simply is incapable of being that guy for this team, then yes, of course he has to go. But that makes it one step away from Steve Yzerman also going. So for all the people who will religiously defend the Yzer plan and talk about, oh my gosh, did you see how bad the team was in 2019? Yep, it's pretty bad. And you know what? It really hasn't gotten that much better. Show me why I'm wrong. Okay, great. You have some nice young players. You have Lucas Raymond. You have Mo Sider. Yes, that's better technically. But from a win-loss perspective, you're the third worst team in the Eastern Conference. So did we really get better, or did we just, have more characters to put on bobbleheads? That's pretty did we have more jerseys that we could sell? Because I don't think anybody wanted to get a Justin Abdelkader jersey. Or who was the other one? Oh my gosh. You know what? Now we're gonna look it up. Red Wings 2019 roster. Oh man, this is gonna be actually really brutal. Andreas Athanasiou. That's the one. That was who I was thinking of. I don't think there was a lot of Athanasiou jerseys getting sold. So, yeah. Maybe the Sebastian Cossa call up will do something for this team. I really hope it does. I was saying at the beginning of this year, I don't know why Sebastian Cossa is not on the NHL roster. And to the people who say no, he's too young. He's, for one, I think he's 23 years old. So, he's not, 18. He's 22 years old. He'll be 23 next year. So he is, I'm not saying he's, Marc-Andre Fleury, but I mean, you're losing games without him. You might as well lose games with him because he's got a heck of a lot more upside than Ville Husso or Alex Lyon. He's got much more of a future on this team than either of those guys. So I see no reason why he should not get more ice time in between the net there for the Red Wings, because I don't want to have to see guys that just have no future. It's like watching the Tigers. And it's funny that both teams are owned by the same guy. I don't want to watch players that have no future here. I would much rather a Marco Kasper struggle, or even an Albert Johansson or a Sebastian Cossa struggle, than watch, the Joe Veleno and Jeff Petrie experience. or Christian Fisher or Justin Hall. I'd rather see young players who have some upside struggle than old players who have no upside and no future, which is even worse potentially, struggle. So, yeah, it's not good for the Red Wings right now. And I don't think there's any way of getting around it. And yes, of course, you won your game. Fun, good. I'm so happy for you. But looking ahead here, you have Philadelphia on Thursday on the road. The team that, statistically speaking, in the standings is better than you, and will certainly be try to get themselves into that wild card spot that they're only they're only 1 point out of getting. Then you got Toronto at home on Saturday night. Might as well just write that one off as a loss because Toronto is very good. And then you got Philadelphia again on national TV. Then you get a back-to-back with the Canadiens. If you can somehow get to that Canadiens back-to-back and you win 2 out of the 3 or get overtime losses in a couple of or 1 or 2 of those, maybe you can dig yourself out of this. One thing that has been consistent with this Red Wings team since around 2018, they do not play well in December. December is when they just careen down into the depths of the sea. And I have no reason to believe that this team will suddenly change that up. So, yeah, fun stuff. Fun stuff. Very happy about the Red Wings. So happy. Yeah. So glad that Steve Yzerman is setting us up to compete in 2037. And if you think, by the way, as I wrap this up because we get to the picks here, if you think that there are not still people out there who will be hold on, what word am I looking for? Hold on. Sneer. That's the word I was making S noises in hope that I would remember the word. That will sneer at you if you suggest that Steve Yzerman has not done a very good job at building this team. And they'll point out, oh, well, you just don't know about Amadeus Lombardi. You just don't know about Axel Sandin Pellikka or Nate Danielson or Bob McGee or Steve Blubity. It's like, yeah, well, I guess, yeah, I don't know about those guys. And at the rate that they're developing, we'll be ready in 2030 to make the Stanley Cup. Yeah. Now, how long did Ken Allen say rebuilds are supposed to last again? Anyone remember? Anyone at all? When did he say that? Hold on. Hold on. Ken Holland 10-year rebuild. Hold on. Okay, I think that was is that in 2017? 8 year. Oh my gosh, this is crazy. I'm not into a rebuild. They take 8 to 10 years if that's what you want to tank it. That, 8 to 10 years. That's actually, I didn't even realize it was that close. This is amazing. This is almost a 10-year-old thread. So that actually doesn't bode well for, what's funny? Actually, this is 8 years. So Ken Holland is going to be right. The rate the Red Wings are going, yeah. It's going to be an 8 to 10-year rebuild. Assuming we can get better and be competitive in the next, that'll be exactly 10 years. Wow. Incredible stuff. Just looking at the thread on some of these. Oh my gosh. You can rebuild a team in half that nowadays if you know what you're doing. And then, of course, the Red Wings fan comes in. You also need a little bit of luck. Something you can't count on. Yeah. It's the only way. The only way to get out of a rebuild, apparently, is to get the number 1 overall pick. It's the only way. And then this other great comment from a Red Wings fan. Holland, you're still living in the past, bud. Reddit never changed. Never changed. You guys are becoming Vancouver. I wish we were becoming Vancouver, the Jazz 97, 9 years ago. If we were becoming Vancouver, we'd probably be in the playoffs by now. Let's see. So what's that mean? How does he plan on making a team a contender again then? What's his big plan? We're clearly not a serious contender right now. nor have we been in the past several seasons. Big if true. This is a lot of fun. You should just watch these before we talk about the picks. A rebuild should only take that long if the construction is being managed by the Russian. This is so good. A rebuild should only take that long if the construction is being managed by the Russian mafia and they're using the project to launder drug money. Or if it's being managed by the Oilers. The irony. The absolute irony of it all. That was a Toronto Maple Leafs fan, but still, this is like the gift that keeps on giving. I could read these comments forever. If this is his attitude, can we consider the Red Wings to not be a contending threat for the next few years? Oh boy, I wish we could just say for the next few years. Try the next almost decade. As always, since Lindstrom retired, all for keeping the streak alive, which means nothing. Wow. That was when Red Wings fans had spines. This is amazing. Oh my gosh. This is the best comment so far. I was saying that about each one. You'd think he would be more open to it, considering how well the Detroit alumni GMs are doing with rebuilds. The Yzer plan kicked in right after 2 years of high draft picks. 2008, number 1 overall Stamkos, and 2009, number 2 overall Hedman. And the Shanna plan seems like a roadmap to doing a rebuild the right way. It's like discovering plutonium in your backyard. It's like you just happen upon like a gold, like an actual like liquid gold fountain that just shoots gold, and that's what that comment was. The Yzer plan kicking in 2 years after the shout out to the Shanna plan. Delicious. Absolutely delicious. His prodigy did it in 3 off seasons. Isn't that, I could just keep going. In Ken Holland's universe, a prospect requires 10 years of development. Well after he's left his peak. I kind of feel bad for Wings fans. Kind of. I could keep. How much longer do I want to do this? Honestly, this is like the greatest thread. The greatest thread. How many teams have actually tanked him in cup contenders in 3 to 4 years? Unless you're getting a generational talent, your results will vary greatly. Well, they definitely will vary. But unfortunately, it will not be great. That's one thing I can say. If you're an Oilers fan, if it's not, if you're the Oilers, if it's not, it's like 3 to 4 tops. It's interesting. It's like I keep seeing basically consistently 3 to 4, 3 to 4-ish. If you tell a Red Wings fan, you say, actually, guys, rebuilds usually take about 3 to 4 years, and we're about 5 years into this, and it's looking terrible. Yeah, I mean, maybe Steve Yzerman's not the guy. How dare you? I was at the game where he scored the game winner against St. Louis in 1996. How dare you insult him, the patron saint of Detroit Red Wings hockey, Steve Yzerman, peace be upon him. Should somebody tell him rebuilds are nowhere near that intensive? Not unless Steve Yzerman's at the helm. Then, they can take as long as they want. And Steve Yzerman will never do wrong because he scored a goal that one time. Remember? Remember that time when he scored a goal, guys? I don't. I was not alive. Anyway, that's enough. No more. I've already closed the thread. I could do that for another hour and a half. I'm not going to lie. That was a lot of fun. But it is time. It is that time of the show. Everybody's favorite time of the show. Or at least my favorite time of the show. It is time for us to do the picks. Hit the music. Just wanted to get the volume perfect. I hope that's perfect. I don't know. That's what we're doing. All right. So I think the bye weeks are actually done for now. Not for now, forever. At least until the playoffs, technically. This is the full slate of games. Yeah, I mean, we only got, what, 3 more weeks total? 15, I guess 4 more weeks total. But 15, 16, 17, 18. So we're nearing the stretch here. End stretch here. That's the end of December for you. Anyway, Thursday night football. We got the Rams at the 49ers. So, again, we don't have Seth's picks this week. I will put them in afterwards, and they'll go into the all-season calculation here. But I'm going to go with the Rams. I'm going to go with the Rams. They're coming off a really nice win. I think that offense is clicking. I think the 49ers are a little bit of a shell of themselves. They did have a nice win against the Bears. I didn't even get to talk about that all show. But they had a really nice blowout win against the Bears. Probably a get-right game for them. I think this could end up being a really good matchup anyway, but I do think the Rams are going to pull out the win here on the road here against the 49ers. Next, we got Cowboys at the Panthers. I wish I didn't have to even mention either of these teams. I'll just take the Cowboys, I guess. You know what? No. I am going off the beaten path. Give me Bryce Young and the Panthers. This would be peak Cowboys. If the Panthers can beat them, and they can, they definitely can. They've come very close to winning games the last few weeks. They almost beat the Chiefs, almost beat the Eagles. The Cowboys are a far more inferior team than either of them. Bryce Young has been playing some decent ball recently. Give me the Cats. Get win number 3, I think. I don't know how many wins they've got. I think it's 3. I don't know. Chiefs at the Browns. Chiefs. Not taking any. No, not talking about this. Jameis Winston is fun, but Jameis giveth and he taketh away. And honestly, most of the time he just giveth the ball away. Yeah, the Chiefs, they'll probably just suffocate the Browns like they do all teams. Their defense is still really good. Their offense is terrible and boring to watch. Mahomes is not having a good year. Certainly not by his standards. So yeah, give me the Chiefs. I think they'll just win, and the Browns should just go away, please. Dolphins at the Texans. This is actually a tough one. I want to say the Texans are coming off the bye this week. I feel like they just have a little bit more on the talent edge, but this actually could be a pretty close matchup. Both these teams are very similar. As far as the record, obviously the Dolphins are worse, so this feels like much more of a must-win for Miami. They want to keep their playoff hopes alive. On the other end of it, I think the Texans are just the better coached team, the better talented team, more consistent team. Albeit their consistency is not, like, lights out. I just think that they're better at this stage right now. So give me the Texans. Probably win an ugly one, but a win is a win. And now, the biggest game of the year. The Jets at the Jaguars. All right. Now, for this game, I am going to go pure, unadulterated spite. I'm taking the Jaguars. There's no reason behind it other than I need it for the culture. I need it for the memes. I need it for the funnies. All right. I need it to make fun of Aaron Rodgers. All right. This is Aaron Rodgers' show. He's gotten rid of everybody who's crossed him, basically. He got rid of the coach. He got rid of the offensive coordinator, play caller, Nathaniel Hackett, who we brought in the first place. He got rid of the GM. Now it's time to put him out in the pasture. And I want the Jaguars to be the ones to do it. Give me the Jags. Commanders at the Saints. Commanders. No Derek Carr. I don't know if he's technically done for the season, but he might as well be. The Saints are just terrible. Their roster is not. I don't know who thought that this roster was going to do anything other than disappoint. It's bad. It's really bad. The Commanders coming off of their bye, I believe. Yeah, they didn't play last week. It just feels like another bounce back game for them. This feels like a game where they can kind of get the heat going, where they can get into that playoff rush mode. I'd love to see Jaden Daniels be in the playoffs. I'd love to see this Commanders team make that run for it, especially if it means the Cowboys are out of the playoffs, which they will be, almost certainly. But it'll be more fun to see that another NFC East team makes it other than the Cowboys. So give me the Commanders. Ravens at the Giants. Ravens. We're not going to talk about this. All right. It's Tommy DeVito or Drew Lock against Lamar Jackson. Bengals Titans. This is kind of an odd game. I guess I'll go with the Bengals. Like, Will Levis stinks, but this Bengals defense is also really bad. And we've seen Will Levis. I mean, he did against the Texans. We've seen him take advantage, but that game against the Jaguars last week, that was I got nothing about that. That's a game you want to forget about if you're Will Levis. But probably exclusively for those mayonnaise commercials, I'm gonna go with Joe Burrow here to I think somehow, some way keep his season's hope alive, and maybe hope for a Christmas miracle, which is the Bengals making the playoffs. Probably won't happen, but yeah, give me the Cats. Patriots at the Cardinals. This feels like a bounce back win for Kyler Murray. Rough loss against the Seahawks for the Birds of Arizona. Kyler is just, unfortunately for Arizona, I think it's probably time to move along from Kyler. It just doesn't seem like he's going to get you over that hump. He had a couple of nice years early on in his career. He had a couple of nice memorable plays, but I don't know. It just doesn't, none of it seemed to have worked out really with him at the quarterback position. So either way, in this particular game, I'll take the Cardinals over the Patriots. Maybe Drake May plays well. I don't know. He's coming off a bye. Maybe. He's got no talent around him. So give me the Cardinals. Colts at the Broncos. Oh, a little Peyton Manning team off. Okay. I guess I'll go with the Broncos. I don't feel confident in really either of these teams. The Broncos are playing like a decent playoff team. This is not a very good Colts team. Anthony Richardson, he can throw the ball deep. Yeah, so give me the Broncos. That's all I got. I got nothing good to say about the Colts other than that. That's Anthony Richardson. He throw the ball deep. Now, America's Game of the Week. Bills at the Lions. You already know what I'm doing. All right, I'm taking the Lions. Buffalo is a very good team. This is not going to be an easy game for Detroit. Minus 2.5 point favorites is from the last I heard for Detroit. Home field advantage, it does have an impact. I mean, this is going to be a raucous crowd in Detroit. I will guarantee that. It was a raucous crowd for Thursday night, and that led to some penalties, some usages of timeouts. I do think that Dan Campbell is probably the better coach than McDermott, or at least has less experience overall, or like had less time to get worn out in a sense. If that makes any sense. This feels like a potential loss for the Lions is definitely on the possibility. Definitely a possibility here. Obviously, any team can beat any team, but I'm still going with my Lions. That's all I got. I don't want to keep stammering on this one game, so we'll move along. Buccaneers at the Chargers. This is actually also kind of a tough one. I'll go with the Chargers on a bounce back. I got a feeling that Justin Herbert is going to want a good game coming in here. I mean, Baker Mayfield probably also going to want a big game here coming off of the bye for him. Jeez, everybody's on the bye. Who wasn't on the bye last week? Yeah, I don't see the Buccaneers without all their wide receivers because they just lost too many weapons. I don't see that playing out well against the Chargers defense, which is very, very good. So yeah, give me the Chargers to get the win there. Steelers at the Eagles. Look, I'm going to go pure spite here. I'm going to take the Steelers. I don't believe in what the Eagles are doing. I think they're complete fraudsters. I think they are just tricking people, swindling people, hoodwinking people, whatever other trick word you want to say. I don't think it's real. I know it's going to be in Philly. It's a tough place to play. But Pittsburgh Steelers fans travel well. It's in-state rivalry. So, yeah, give me the Steelers. I think they're going to get the win here. Russell Wilson, not bounce back, but kind of getting, kind of heating up. Let him cook. Let Russ cook. Anyway. Packers at the Seahawks on Sunday Night Football. Oh, Sunday night. Yeah, I guess I'll go with the Pack. I just, despite the fact that the Seahawks have been winning games, Geno Smith has, generally speaking, not been very good. And this just feels like a bounce back for Jordan Love, for Green Bay. They played a pretty good game against Detroit on Thursday night, coming off a 10-day rest, and a long 10-day rest at that because it's a Sunday night game. Yeah, this just feels like a loss here for Seattle. But You never know. That Seattle fan base, they can come out in these primetime games and make a difference. They've definitely done that against the Packers. Then we got a doubleheader on Monday Night Football. I did not know this. Apparently, there's another doubleheader on Monday Night Football. We got the Bears at the Vikings. I'm taking the Vikings because the Bears, they don't want to win. They don't want to play football for money anymore. Sam Darnold is having probably the best year of his career ever. Probably the best year since he played at USC. I believe he went to USC. Anyway, he's playing really well. There's no getting around it. And the Bears defensively are terrible. They've already fired their head coach. And what I thought might have sparked something, usually you fire your head coach. Sometimes it can spark a little bit of a, at least a good performance from your team. And no, it did not. It in fact sparked the opposite. Like the team looked worse somehow without Matt Eberflus. So, yeah, give me the Vikings. I don't know how close this game is going to be, but I don't think they're going to win, or I don't think the Bears are going to win. And then finally, Falcons at the Raiders, also on Monday Night Football. Yeah, give me the fighting Kirk Cousins. This just feels like a bounce back. It's gonna be a Derek. Oh my gosh, what's his name? Not Riddler. Oh my gosh, I'm totally. Not Derek. Desmond Ridder. This tells you how much I know about Raiders quarterback. Desmond Ridder, former Falcons quarterback. It's gonna be his revenge game because he's gonna be starting, I think, for the Raiders, assuming they don't pick somebody up off the street. This just feels like a Kirk Cousins bounce back game. He has been really struggling. And if he wants to keep his playoff hopes alive for this Falcons team, he's going to have to turn it on. He's going to have to get it together here on Monday Night Football. And he has played well on Monday Night Football. He beat the Eagles. Don't forget about that. That happened this season. I almost forgot about that. So, anyway. All right. So rounding it out here. Rams 49ers. I got the Rams. Cowboys Panthers. I got the Panthers. Chiefs Browns. Taking the Chiefs. Dolphins Texans. Taking the Texans. Jets, Jaguars, taking the Jaguars. Commanders, Saints, taking the Commanders. Ravens, Giants, I'm taking the Ravens. Bengals, Titans, taking the Bengals. Cardinals, Patriots, taking the Cardinals. Or Patriots, Cardinals, taking the Cardinals. Colts, Broncos, taking the Broncos. Bills, Lions, taking the Lions. Buccaneers, Chargers, taking the Chargers. Steelers, Eagles, taking the Steelers. Packers, Seahawks, taking the Packers. Bears, Vikings, taking the Vikings. And Falcons, Raiders, taking the Falcons. And those are your NFL Week 15 picks. I wonder how much diversity there's going to be from my picks and Seth's picks. See, this is interesting. Picking before Seth. Maybe I get something of an advantage. See, you know what I hate? Is I hate when there's ice in this kind of a bottle because there's no way to stop the ice from because I just I hate it when it's I just want the water and the ice is getting in the way. I hate it. All right. Anyway, at least I'm not one of those no ice people. If you're a no ice person, I don't grow up. I don't be an adult. What are you doing? No ice. No ice. It's too cold. Wham. Anyway, that's the show. That's all I got. So look ahead here. Lions, but I was gonna say Buccaneers for some reason. Lions Bills is gonna be obviously on Sunday. I believe it's a 4:30 start, so I'll probably be live around 4:15. Maybe 4:20, actually. Yeah, that sounds about right, because I'm usually live, and I want to have about a 5-minute span between just introducing and talking pre-game and then actually the game getting started there. I have to double-check on the start time, though, but we'll be live for that, so keep your eye out for that. And that's pretty much it as far as look ahead, because obviously no more college football. I mean, that's already been a thing. But, there's no Thursday night football, so it's weird. It's a weird thing. We're only doing two streams total for the rest of football season until the Super Bowl. Now, let me tell you guys something. If the Lions do win the Super Bowl, I'm having a party. So there's going to be people here. And there's one problem with that, is that I am a nervous Nelly when I watch football. And other people are not nervous Nelly. They're positive patties. And I'm not going to or they're negative Nancy's. And so it's like I might lose my mind live on a stream if the Lions win the Lions make the Super Bowl. So just, for that, subscribe. If you want to see that. If you want to see a man lose his mind live, subscribe. And hope the Lions actually make the Super Bowl. So either way, if you did watch or if you did enjoy, please do hit the like button and hit the subscribe button. It does help out a lot. But with that, again, I'll be heading out. I'll see you guys on Sunday, hopefully, for the Lions-Bills game. And we'll talk about it again next week on Tuesday. So have a good night, everybody. And I'll see you on Sunday. Good night. See you later. See you later.